I am live. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. It's 2:40 here on the East Coast. My name is Renée Morgan, founder and CEO of Radient Pearl Coaching and Consulting, and I'm a certified business and executive coach. On the East Coast here, we've had some snow, so I know folks who are in the ether are probably in meetings or taking a coffee break. But welcome to my live session today. It is on government contracting post award. So that's important to really look at it into in terms of government contracting post award. There's pre award when you're going through all of the paperwork and trying to get the contract and onboarding and negotiating with your clients on rates and things like that. But today I just want to come on board and give some tips and share some of my expertise post award. If you want to schedule a call with me later, I'll put the link in the chat and also in the description there. But folks always constantly ask me about government contracting. And oftentimes, when I go to different business seminars, people are often talking about federal government contracting, and their excitement is there, the energy is there to go into government contracting. But the realities of it is really knowing all of the things that are entailed in running a government contract, whether it's federal, state, or government or local government. But my experience is over 2 decades of being in government contracting, running multi-million-dollar contracts, managing high performance teams, and then oversight of multi-million-dollar contracts, and account management, working with senior executives to drive, results, and also to drive teams to perform so we can deliver to clients. So my expertise, when I work with coaching clients, is mostly with client acquisition. I will work with folks on government contracting, but I will also always tell them to prepare for a lot of red tape and a lot of fun sometimes, and also the preparation. In terms of just making sure that you've got your I's dotted and your T's crossed. So today, this session can be today for a beginner or someone who's experienced, but the experienced folks will probably have a chuckle or a laugh as I go through a lot of what I'm talking about. And you can chime in to give advice or your expertise in terms of what your thoughts are when it comes to government contracting. I'm excited to know, excited to see what you guys have to say. But I'm sure you'll resonate here or there. Anyway, as an individual, if you're an entrepreneur or you're an executive leader or someone that's looking to get into government contracts, I always say to folks that you have to have an individual characteristic, or you have to have certain characteristics to go into government contracting, and that's being agile. And when we talk about agile, I know there's project managers out there talking about, no, agile is this, waterfall is that. No, agile meaning you got to be able to sprint. Sprint, stop, sprint, and stop. It's definitely something where you can have a smooth contract and then there's a bump and you have to change something, or your client needs something different. And so now you have to deliver something different based upon what they've asked for. And you've probably been working on it for weeks at a time. And that's okay. But also you always have to have an open mind outside of being agile, being open-minded to the world around you, right? You might have won this one big contract, you're excited and you're in, but keeping an open mind on what's to come. That's another characteristic. Also, patience is key. I know a lot of folks who have worked in commercial industry or who have worked in industries where things happen very, very quickly. And a lot of folks, when they get into government contracting, they really have a hard time understanding that decisions have to be made, processes have to be, run through before something can happen. And so with patience, that is another key characteristic of someone who is going into government contracting or trying to get a contract, and actually in post award, something that you're going to have to exercise when you're there. The other thing is a sense of humor. you're wondering, like, what are you talking about? A sense of humor? A sense of humor meaning you got to laugh, because if you don't laugh, you'll be very, very stressed. You'll be in this whirlwind in a tizzy, and you got to have a sense of humor where you laugh, but also you take things seriously, when needed. But being able to laugh and just move on and be able to deliver to your client. And one of the key things is having a good team, a good leadership team around you, where you can navigate certain aspects of your government contract. If you're the business owner or entrepreneur or executive leader, you know this already. It's really looking at the bigger picture and seeing where you can, you know, come in and manage where you need to. So those are individual characteristics I will give, or I will say to you, in terms of when you're going into government contracting and post award, that you need to have. If there are other characteristics that you guys out there want to name, that are experienced government contractors, please put it in the chat. I would love to see what you think an individual needs to have in order to run a government contract. So I'll move on to the red tape. And red tape, a lot of people are like, what do you mean red tape? Well, red tape is, pretty much all of the things that are entailed in running your contract. That's onboarding, level onboarding, budgeting and forecasting, invoicing, timesheets, billable rates, WBS codes, which we love. And then client relations is a big, big, big thing. A lot of people think that they go into government contracting, you set it, you forget it, things should be working fine. But you always have to keep in contact with your clients. Your clients are there. They need your help. They need your help, either whether they're, trying to elevate in their career, trying to grow their teams, or trying to drive an initiative. And they really need your help. And so keeping close contact with them, keeping good relationships with them, is really key in order to run your contracts. So I know in my day, a lot of Starbucks coffee or coffee from the deli downstairs or down the street. It just doesn't matter, as long as you're in good company with your client, looking and listening to their needs as you're going through the process of delivering for them. As an entrepreneur, you know this already. Whenever you're starting a new project or initiative or a program, is budgeting for those incidentals. A lot of people don't understand in government contracting, there are things that happen that are outside of the budget of the actual contract, such as onboarding, when folks are going through their background investigations, and you have to wait the ultimate time to wait and wait and wait until their background investigation is done. Wanting to go to the onboarding specialist to offer cookies and cake where there's nothing that they can do, but really give you an update on what's happening, on the status. But a lot of it is really making sure that, excuse me, I had to take a drink of water, really making sure that you're keeping close communications with leadership, and also with the folks that are going to be working with you and working with your people while you have this government contract. So this is post award. The other thing that I will say, that in my experience, just over the years, one thing that's really, really important is have a key knack and an eye for talent. And when I talk about talent, that's people, your team. In government contracting, as most folks know, people rotate all the time. In my 20 years, I've seen people at different companies. I've worked, as I mentioned before, for small, medium, large, and big four businesses. And I've seen some of the same people, some of the same colleagues there, working and working on contracts. And so having talent is, good talent, where, they have the skill set you need in order to drive the results for your client, to do the things that you need to do in order to deliver, is very, 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 very important. Um, and you have, other contractors around, competition, that are going to offer different things. So you always have to, have what I call a Rolodex of people that you can call on in case someone puts in their 2 weeks or puts in their month or has to leave for, a leave of absence or some family emergency. And so it's not to say that you're not valuing the talent that you currently have, but it's understanding that the market of government contracting, and also that you always have to have, someone or people that are skilled in order to take over if someone else can't do it, or having someone skilled enough to come in and deliver on something else while the project is running, right? So if someone has a particular skill set in project management, and you need an engineer or a project management engineer, you should always be looking for top talent for your projects, right? And you should always be constantly talking to your current staff to see that, is everything okay, what's happening or what's going on. So that's really key, because you can't expand or even scale your business without your team, and you can't do that on a government contract either. So that's very key: client relations, and also an eye for talent. I talked about the budget for incidentals in terms of when you can't charge a client for certain things where you're going to have to provide. And then the other thing is rules and regulations, and making sure that you keep up to date with the rules and regulations in the federal government, state and local government, in terms of badging, IDs. HSPD 12 is one of the regulations where I ran a large contract there. Doing badging and things like that. So very familiar with the onboarding process, and running a large team for that. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about is competition. People always talk about where there's a lot of competitors. Yes, there are a lot of competitors out there in the government space. You set yourself apart by what you're delivering to the client. That's pretty much what it is. But having worked for the small, medium, large, and enterprise-wide Big Four companies, what I know is one of the three key major things that sets all of you guys apart, whether you're small, medium, large, big enterprise, is brand, quality, and capabilities. I'll say that again. What sets you apart from any other company, from any other, large company, small company, or whatever, is your brand, your quality, and your capabilities. You must always hone in on that. As entrepreneurs, we're going out and we're saying, okay, what sets us apart? What makes us a category one? That is the same thing when it comes to government contracting in that space. Is what makes your product, what makes your delivery or your company more valuable than another company, right? And a lot of times it boils down to capabilities. What do you offer that the client actually really needs? That's what it is. And how fast can you deliver it? And realistically, having that relationship with their client where they see the value that you're providing while you're working on a contract, or if you're expanding your contract in any way. So it's really key, those key things: your capabilities, your brand, and the quality that you're delivering is very important when you're on a government contract. So tips on while you're running your lovely lucrative government contracts. Be ready for constant and consistent change. Yep, constant, consistent change. In this world, as we have rules, regulations, laws, the news changes, and things like that, our clients are in a position where they have to respond and deliver. And so they need us as consultants to come in and work and to help them to respond and deliver. And so you have to be open to that constant change. Now, I'm not talking about scope creep, where we're way out of scope of our contract and we're doing things on the outside. I'm talking about constant change where you might have to present certain information that you presented already in a different format, or in five different formats for five different people for five different views. Happens all the time. I'm sure there are other folks who can relate to that. The other thing is ask for help when you need it. A lot of people are like, well, I don't need help. I've got experience. I know what I'm doing. Every client is different, every company is different, everything is different. You'll need help along the way. Now the regular things that you'll have, especially if you're an experienced government contractor, you'll always know. You'll know the next step, and you'll know how to resolve it, or you'll have help or some sort of resource within your company that can help resolve the problem. But if you don't, and it's a problem or a scenario where someone else could probably mentor you through that, then ask for help. Definitely ask for help, because as I mentioned before, there's constant and consistent change. And whether your client is asking for you to build a rocket ship versus a missile, you just got to be prepared and seeing if that's what you can do, and also being able to ask for advice on the way, along the way. The other thing, I mentioned it before, and I talked about it just a little bit earlier, is to communicate with your client and your teams. I can't stress this enough. There is no way that the high profile projects that I worked on could have been successful or as successful as they were without communication with the client and also communication with the team. And that is really making sure that you're communicating with your team, especially to understand what the end result, what the goal is in mind, or what the overall goal is for us, and what this means for us as a team, and the difference that we're making within our company or within the world. Right. For our clients, communicating with them, letting them know that they have a partner, um, while they're on this journey of delivering to their executives or to their leaders, and making sure that they understand that we're there for them as they go along. So it's really important that you constantly communicate. Now, if you're an executive, you may not be on the ground, as we call it, on the ground doing the work, but you as an executive have to come in at your leadership level, and you have to communicate with your client to let them know that outside of your project or program management team, they have someone they can go to in order to bounce things off of, or to just make sure that that they have a partner in this, and that your company is the company delivering it, and your company is going to continue to provide value while they are providing services. And so you, as the executive leader, always have to create and maintain that relationship along the way. So I can't stress that enough. That is the most important thing, because communication can be skewed. It can, you can communicate one thing one day or 1 minute, and then the next thing you know, it's misconstrued somewhere else. And if you're constantly communicating, not overly communicating, but constantly communicating based on your client's needs, then misunderstandings are few and far between. I don't know if you guys have been in a circle. I know we've probably been to team building events where they've asked us to whisper in someone's ear to say something, the cat in the hat. And by the time it gets to the person at the end, it's something totally different. Right. So just make sure you're communicating with your client and with your teams, that you're making sure that your team is happy, that you're making sure that your team is delivering. And if there's a need, then try to resolve it as much as you can. So communication is key for any relationship. Um, the other thing that's very, very important is to create and maintain efficient processes. Now, within the business coaching world, they talk about systems. With me being from the IT world, I can't say systems. I can say, I have to say processes, because there are processes that you have to put in place, procedures you have to put in place in order to run your business, in order to deliver for your government contract. If you do not have particular systems, you will constantly be on a spinning wheel. It's hands down, and every project is different, and every project is going to require different things. But the core processes, or the core operational processes, you're going to need. So having a baseline or a foundation within your company will help you in order to manage your teams and your client whenever you're delivering, especially when you're doing invoicing, when you're doing budgeting and forecasting. You've got to have a process, and that process should be written down somewhere where you or your team or someone can go and say, okay, this is the process for how we invoice. This is the process for how we, bill, or how we do forecasting, who's skilled, and all those things when it comes to budgeting and forecasting, when it comes to trying to figure out during the different times of the year who's supposed to be in what role, and who's going to be in that role, and if that person is more expensive than someone else, or do you need one or two people to come in to do the job, or do you need just one, and how often or how many hours is that going to take? So having efficient processes is going to be key. It can save you time, it can save you money, and just overall stress in the long run. The last tip, which should be the first tip, and I think that a lot of people who are government contractors will appreciate this. When it comes to wellness, and this is something that I advocate or that I talk about in my business circle with the entrepreneurs and executive leaders, with self-care, there's wellness. And with running a government contract, there is stress. You can try to avoid it. I don't know how, but okay. But there's going to be tension, stress somewhere, and you've got to find a release. You've got to find a release, whether it's a massage, whether it's acupuncture, whether it's going to go play, tennis, golfing, whether it's going on your yacht, or going on vacation. You must find a release for you when you're running these government contracts, because if you are not finding a release, you cannot lead or manage effectively. It's just not going to happen. You're going to be spinning consistently if you don't have an outlet for the work that you're doing. And you're probably doing great work, but you need to get that time off. You need to take that time in order to do the thing that you want to do, whether it's drawing or singing or dancing. Those are the things that enrich your life outside of the good work or the quality work that you're delivering for your clients. I know for me, I'm all about wellness. I love spas. I love acupuncture. I love massages and things like that. So a lot of that, was in my own personal budget. Also, I'm from the Caribbean. My family's from the Caribbean, so I love soca music. So going to soca fets and with my friends, and just having that time to dance and just really, really be free was really, really helpful. Or it also continues to be helpful to my well-being. But also exercise is another thing too. So really, really consider that, or really make that number one. Okay, if I'm going to get this government contract and we're going to be running, what is it that I'm going to do in order to take care of myself with self-care, with wellness, in order to have a release so I can come back, lead effectively, talk to my clients, have that coffee, have that lunch, do whatever it is for me to be able to run consistently. So anyway, I've been on here a little bit too much. I definitely can talk about government contracting, federal government contracting all day. I can give you tips and tricks and get more in depth. In the description there is a link for you to schedule a call with me if you want to do a 1-hour session, and I can come in and assess your government contract to see how you're running it and seeing where you can make improvements, and also how you can expand your footprint on the current contract that you're at. So give me a call and let me know. Also, there's a link in the description for our business circle. We have several executive leaders and business owners that are already in the circle. It's free. And they are commenting about wellness, their lifestyles, their trips, and also about what authentic leadership is. So it's really exciting to see a lot of the interaction in our business circle. But if you need more in-depth help with your contracts, the link to schedule a call with me for a 1-hour session is there. I wish you guys well. As you can see, I love talking about the subject, but I wish you guys well on your government contracts. And I wish you much success and abundance, but I also wish you wellness on the way up as you grow your business. as you grow your teams and you grow your careers into just what you always love to do, because you're positioned to be in the position that you are in now. I'm just excited about 2024. I talked about manifestation last week, and so a lot of folks are using our planner, manifestation planner, to manifest their lives. If government contracting is something you're trying to go after this year, definitely schedule a call with me and let me know, so I can help you to navigate that, and create some strategy around it before you kind of go in blind. So anyway, you guys have a wonderful afternoon. I'm going to go and probably get some coffee or try to work on a couple of things here. But I'm also going to interact with some folks in the business circle. You guys have a wonderful day. Again, Renée Morgan, founder and CEO of Radient Pearl Coaching and Consulting, certified business and executive coach. You guys take care.